Hello and good afternoon. This is Darren Pashon. The date is June 21st, 2018, and the time is now 2:30 p.m. Hello, Miss Jennifer Flowers. I was just basically contacting you to clarify some things and basically talk about my case. As you can see, the case number is highlighted right here. And I have a few documents that I wanted to show you if you have the time to view them. And I have to say, I was reviewing you, and I'm very impressed by your criteria and your understanding of knowledge and law and the judiciary process. And I have to say, like, I'm surprised that you can do all these things and you are able to do all this stuff. You must be a very busy lady, and I have to say I'm very impressed with you. I actually know your dad. He was actually my former lawyer. I have a hard time trusting other lawyers. In fact, I would trust that your father with my life. I love that man. In fact, my family voted for him to get into office for circuit judge, and I'm very happy for him and your family. Um, he actually helped me out when I got into a little trouble as a youth, and he did very good. He's really accurate, and he it seems like he really cares too. um, I was looking at some of the things that you are interested in, and I think one of those things is actually human rights. I believe in those too, as well as constitutional rights and the Bill of Rights. And I care about education as well. That's the main thing. Like, you're spot on, and I'm very happy for you. I wanted to talk about this issue that arose on April 25th of 2018. It was a dispute with an officer, and I have witnesses. My mom is one of them, including the shop workers. I don't know if you've seen the statement that I wrote. I actually tried to write a statement to you for the motion of discovery, and I wrote a statement on there. I don't know if you've seen it, but I wanted to make an appointment with you and to clarify some things. But I'll be basically, providing some evidence of things, and it could go either way. That's the thing about the flow of information and knowledge. I'm going to speak basically facts here, and anything I don't understand, we can clarify in a meeting or just talk. I can give you my cell phone number, and I think you're might be an understanding person. You can see where I'm coming from, Miss Flowers. And I'm going to start off. And this was the probable cause. We're looking at the traffic citation affidavit, and I was pulled over, and he says that this is by Deputy Kane. He says that he noticed a silver Toyota car, and you can see everything on here about what he said. But there's a few things that don't add up. He can't show you any evidence that I don't have my seatbelt. That I didn't have my seatbelt on. And the thing is, like, about the seatbelt issue, I take off my seatbelt because I keep my wallet in my back pocket, and it's hard to get to my back pocket when I don't have when I have my seatbelt on. So that's something that they always want to pull you. Oh, you didn't have your seatbelt on. You could literally have your seatbelt on, and they're gonna say that they pulled you over for that. It's ridiculous. And I have to tell you that I'm actually targeted. They say that I'm part of some movement that I'd never claimed to be part of, and it doesn't make any sense because it's mainly like a majority white people in there, and like I've never claimed to be part of this organization. And what's funny about this is I might have to file a civil rights lawsuit because, like, I really feel like I'm being targeted for some odd reason, and it doesn't make any sense. In fact, in the video, because there's video evidence of this traffic stop, he says that I'm being flagged because I'm a member of this organization, and I've never claimed to be part of this, and I don't know. And in fact, there was one time they mentioned this, but I didn't have the evidence of it, so I went to the precinct in Shalimar to clarify some things that I'm not part of this movement. And I was speaking to the clerk, and she says there's nothing on your name that's gonna bring anything to attention, but now there's evidence of that in the video. And this is funny because he said he observed me in a silver car, but my car is gold, and I'm gonna get to that. And he talks about the tag, and I mentioned in the statement that I wrote to you guys, the state. I don't know if you read it at all, but I can bring a copy of it. That about what happened this day, and and then he says that my cars have been registered since 1996. I actually went over to your office and proved that wrong. I've showed you multiple copies of, I have a registration now and previously. I've had multiple registrations. I've had over 3 now, and they're currently up to date. And what's funny about this is, someone owned the car previously before me, and he had it registered before me. It was an older couple, and their son used to drive it, and it was registered in this state. So, and that's recently, and they had it before I did. And he tries to say that I admitted to not having insurance, but if you look at the video, I never admitted to not having insurance. So I mean, this is kind of, this is a sworn law enforcement officer, and this is a guy that puts his hand over his heart and raises his right hand, and he's not initially telling the truth about it. And I've never mentioned any of this, and I tried to show him my paperwork to show him that this isn't true, and the guy literally says that I'm forging documents. Either he's literally forging documents, which I can't do. Like, it's really hard to, this is a law enforcement officer. Like, if you can't tell the difference between an actual authentic registration and a faulty one, like, it's really hard to try and do that. And and then it's just such a mix-up. And I was trying to tell him, this is an error, and I don't know if he finally admits that in the second part, but I'm about to show you that. He writes down a second statement. Now he's admitting that the car is now gold, and he writes this statement a day later. He writes this statement a day later. And Mr. Matthew is the other supervisor for my last charge that I got, where the cop said I was resisting an officer, and I didn't do that. They did some type of sniff search, and they did a false alert, and I beat this charge without a lawyer and everything. And I try to get out of the vehicle. The guy just lunges at me and grabs me as I'm trying to get out of the vehicle and pushes me against my car, and I'm like, are you serious? And then as my back is turned, he puts a taser to my back. And and they're trying to say that I'm resisting. Like, no, man, you just pushed me. And like, as soon as I got out of the vehicle, I actually have evidence of this. And it all makes sense because I'm being targeted. I'm being targeted for reasons that are unknown. And I've reported officers in the past for misconduct, and I think that's what it is. And I made complaints. I made complaints on the hotline. They have like a little hotline where you can make complaints, and I'm not sure if that's why or what. But I'm gonna have to file like a civil rights lawsuit because it's really getting out of hand. I must have got pulled over like 5 times within a year. There'll be times where I'm not even doing anything. I'll be completely parked in my car, and these people will come up to me and ask me stupid questions, and it's just ridiculous. And then he admits that my car is now gold, and he's saying that he observed me and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, which he can't prove that. And then he tries to say that he noticed that my tag was expired. But this is what's funny. If my tag was expired, why wouldn't you notice that why wouldn't you come up to my vehicle and say like, hey, this, if he's really observing everything and he knows that my tag is expired, how would he know that my tag is expired? Because it's in April, but it doesn't specifically say, he doesn't specifically know what date, but it was April, around, the month of April that I was supposed to expire, but it expires on a date, like on a day. And he said that it was expired, but he didn't know that. But, you would think that if he really ran my tag, he would say that, oh, this isn't the right tag. He doesn't come up to my car and say that automatically. He says that he comes up to my car and says that my tag is expired. And then he starts to do this, this thorough search. So he goes on the basis that he believed that my tag was expired. and then did his search. So he illegally stops me. So even if my tag was registered and was up to date, this guy was gonna stop me regardless because they were out doing stings. They were doing sting operations on Denton, and I seen all of them. There was a whole 6 cop cars out there, and they were trying to do stings because that's a very bad neighborhood. And well, no, it's not that bad, but they always try and do sting operations out there, and I know about this because I have a friend who's in law enforcement, and they give me information. Um, and I never told him that I renewed my registration, then stated that it was from a different. See, this is a utter lie. I never told him that I renewed my I didn't tell him that. I didn't state that it was from a different that it was a different vehicle that I renewed it on. I never stated any of this. All I told him is that my mechanic might have put this tag on by accident, and I have him as a witness, which he'll come to court with me and clarify that. The main owner of the store, I don't know if he can come by, but he can be called. But we'll have to make arrangements for him to get to the courthouse. I tried to tell him that, and I told him like this is a big misunderstanding because like he was telling me that my car hasn't been registered since '96, so I assumed that it was an error, and I was showing him my documents on top of that, and I never gave him. I don't believe I gave him. Darren proved me with a registration for a tag. Provided me for a registration. I don't think I gave him that registration because I didn't have all that. Because he just took my tag. I don't remember ever actually even provide. I gave him my 2017 paperwork for my Toyota, and he's not going to provide any of this as evidence. A registration, because he doesn't literally show you the paper on the camera. He just shows you on his computer, typing in stuff, and and that's it. He doesn't really show you the paperwork at all, which I thought was odd because the last time I got pulled over, they showed the paperwork on the camera and all, and it shows that with the last charge, it shows that the cops don't even pay attention because the last guy who pulled me over and tried to put me in jail for invalid reasons, he wrote down. What's funny about this? I'm driving a Toyota. He wrote down the wrong VIN number, the wrong vehicle. I'm driving a Toyota still, and he writes down that it's a white van. Like he just wasn't even paying attention. And I admitted to him, yeah, I own a BMW. I own actually a few cars. He says that I own 3 cars, 3 vehicles. I actually own more than that. I own a lot more than that. And it's funny how like he can see that. If you actually look below right around here, he sees that the title is in my name. But he tries to say, upon further investigation, they found out that I had this title in my name. They see this expiration date. That's all they see, and that's wrong. This doesn't make any sense. So that's an error, and I showed you that this is an initial error that's done by the DMV. In fact, the DMV told me about this error, and he said it shouldn't be a problem. But he says that the vehicle had never been registered. It has been registered multiple times. And I just wanted to clarify these things. I've dropped off this evidence, and Seth Matthew is the same guy, and this guy's been trying to, I think, mess with me because he was the last supervisor for Matthew Langer and Zach Putnam, and I wrote a misconduct form, and I never got any word from these people, like about the officers that I wrote up, except for Langer. But it was more than one, so I don't even know what happened with the other guy. And like I said, I filed complaints, and now I have to file a civil rights lawsuit because even on the video, he's saying that I'm flagged for some reason. And and I'm not admitting anything because I'm not part of this organization. Even if I was, per se, you can't flag people for, any of that, because like this is what civil rights is about. I have protection from discrimination on these grounds, and that's race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, color, age, political affiliation, even religion. You can sometimes you can tie religion into political affiliation, and disability, and individual rights. I have individual rights, and they have invaded my privacy. And I have freedom of assembly and movement. They deny me my movement. Sometimes they'll bother me as I'm going to and from home from work. And it's getting ridiculous. Like, I don't really go outside anymore, like, because I'm afraid, I'm on probation. That's another thing. Why would I drive around, with no, not the proper registration and, vehicle utensils that I need to drive around, just to risk my freedom being, taken away from me. Like, for $30, the registration was only $30. And let me tell you something. I got my car out of the impound with my money. I got I got the registration, taken care of, because I had a long talk with the DMV about this, and they said they showed me everything that went wrong, and that's what I wrote that down in a statement, which I can bring with me if you need me to for the meeting or a pretrial conference or whatever. But I really have to talk to you, Miss Jennifer Flowers. As it's important. This is why I'm doing this. It's taking a lot of time out of my day, to sit back and record this, and it's getting out of hand. And then I have to mention that I know some people want to trust law enforcement, but not too many people know about this. You have Charlie Morris, who was head of the sheriff's office a while back, and he got caught racketeering along with a lot of people within the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office organization doing illegal activities, and that's recorded. And they act, and I tried to file a Sunshine State law for information about if the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office had participated in any illegal activities. I was met with intense scrutiny, and they treat me hostile, very hostile, because I'm now a target because I want justice and I want to know what's going on, in my community, and I've been here 28 years, and it's getting out of hand. They're you got civilians, shooting at the policemen now. I mean, and then you got racketeering scandals. It's insane. And I'm scared. Like, I don't even go outside anymore. Like, I'm getting like out of shape because I can't even go to the gym. I can't go outside and have fun. My friends, I've seen all of my friends in jail, and they're doing so horribly. I had my friend wanting to commit suicide because he can't even provide for his child because he made one mistake and he can't find a job, and he's just moping around. And I try, and he's he's younger than I am. He's 20. He's about to be 20. And I tried to help him out, and he's all homeless and everything, and it's just like I try and help him and like tell him he's doing wrong, and and it's just madness in our community. And I want to do better. I want things to be better, and I'm literally a target by people who do this stuff on a daily basis. And I'm not saying that all cops are bad, but I do know that some cops do have an agenda to get some groups of people and some people who they may not agree with and don't like behind bars, and they've done it before. I mean, with the racketeering scandal, they misused inmate labor and destroyed evidence and tampered with evidence to put people behind bars. And I just want to make sure that everything is done right, and I talk to people when I get out there, and people are understanding me. I'm not some career criminal thug. I'm not any of these things. I can be brutally honest. Like, I made a few mistakes back in in the day when I was younger. I smoked a little pot. I used to skateboard and listen to rock music and go to the beach and go surfing and stuff like that. I'm a real chill, mellow type of guy, and I don't look for trouble at all. I mean, it's insane. Like, I don't know why this cop wouldn't think like he's already been in trouble with the law. He's obviously doing this intentionally. Like, no, why would I try and agitate people who are already targeting me? And I didn't I knew, I assumed that I was being targeted. I wasn't really too sure. Like, I had a cop tell me, he's like, you might want to, he said, you're listed as something that might get you in trouble. And I'm like, what do you mean? He told me to go to the precinct, and and the precinct told me differently. And now I actually have evidence within, this videotape saying I'm flagged and I'm being targeted. And I've never claimed to be part of this organization. I've never talked to a state attorney like this ever in my life. Like, I never thought I would be doing this right now, like on a microphone, videotaping, everything. Like, because I have to, for my own safety, like, and everyone else's, that, I have to get out there and talk to people about this. And it's utterly wrong. I mean, if you believe in human rights, if you believe in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, or even civil rights, and there's so many, you see all these laws that are in our favor, and yet you got law enforcement officers who don't even seem to know that, the law is in our favor, and some of them don't seem to care about, the laws that make this country, wonderful. And I've actually had a sergeant who was a sheriff tell me that he does not believe in human rights. And I can't make this up. He said it on camera, but the thing about their cameras compared to ours is they get to edit. They get to edit their cameras. Like I said, they got caught tampering with their own evidence before in the past. Just to say that you got a few of the rotten eggs out, doesn't really mean anything when they say they're still doing an ongoing investigation about what happened back then and what's going on now. And I'm not saying that, all lawyers are bad, but the only lawyer that I trusted was Mike Flowers. I don't, like, as I got older and, I started, putting my ear to the ground, I noticed that there's a lot of lawyers who don't even care about the people who are paying for, their salary. And these public defenders, like, we're paying them, and some of them don't even care. They just, want to throw whatever plea deal at you. And it's truly sad. Like, these are people who go to school, and they're supposed to know everything about the law. And and I noticed the last public defender that I had, he knew nothing about the laws that were in our state, because he wasn't even from here, really. Like, it's he just wanted to set up shop here, when he got out of college, and he knew nothing about Florida state law. And I found it very strange. And but there was one there, like I said, there was only one that I really trusted, and it was Mike Flowers. And in fact, he was my first lawyer. This is so strange. And now I have his, he was, the funny part about Mike was he was a strong proponent against the state, and his daughter is like working with the state. But even though he's a judge, he's still like in middle ground, because he's not really with with or against the state, because he's the middleman. And I never would have thought that I would have his daughter, as a prosecuting against me. Wow. Other than that, like, I've had a lot of problems coming from this specific, and I don't really do anything illegal. Like, I'll admit I make mistakes, but I don't do serious stuff that that harms human life, or any of that. Like I said, like, I told you, like, when I was a youth, I used to skateboard and all that, but I've never participated in gang activity. Like, I've never robbed a bank or something like that. Like, I've made mistakes, but that was mainly for myself. And I don't understand, like, I'm not trying to mess up because I'm already on probation, and I'm trying to better myself. My living arrangements are horrible. Like, I was living in a forest, trying to take care of myself, because I had gotten so scared because, like I said, I'm a target, and I wasn't sure what was going on, and I had no one to reach out to, and I was so scared. And it was harsh because, like, I didn't have the utensils to survive out in the forest, but I made through it. And it was really hard for me, and it's really hard for me to trust, individuals in this community, when I feel like they all have a knife out trying to get me, and stab me in the back, you know. And I'm not mentally ill or any of this stuff. I'm just, in touch with the reality before me, and this is real life. I could die at any moment. Anything can happen, and I just want to know that I know that there are people out there who believe in, freedom of association. That we don't even really have that anymore, or the right to assemble or to petition even. Like, you got these people who don't, like I said, there's a sergeant who doesn't even believe in human rights, but we'll never hear about it because, like I said, they have their cameras and we have ours, and it's his word against my word. And that's why we see Lady Justice, with the weight scales, because that's just evidence, teetering, or that could be seen as money too. It teeters back and forth for the go in whose favor. That's Lady Justice. And it's that's a perfect example of law. Your word against mine, and your evidence against mine, my money against yours, you know, left versus right, it's but they try and say that maybe we can, and sometimes it might balance out as even. Lady Justice might not go, up or down. Maybe sometimes it'll balance out even on the weight scale. Um, but I thought I should reach out to you. I don't know if I have to mention any more, but I think I kind of rambled on too long. I don't want to waste your time. I'm glad that if you did get this message that you're listening. I wanted to make an appointment pretty soon. You can reach me back at this email that I'm about to send you this link, and I'm pretty sure you already have these documents. This is from the motion of discovery. Um, I don't know if I have to do a Nelson hearing or any of that, but I don't, or if I could just talk to you, because I mean, I don't. I feel kind of funny talking to the prosecutor though, but I mean, if you're Mike Flowers' daughter, I mean, I kind of trust Mr. Mike Flowers, but I mean, you are a lawyer too, so I mean, and if you're his daughter, I think I could possibly trust you, because like I that's why I don't get public defenders anymore, because after Mike left, because he represented me twice, and then he couldn't represent me anymore because like he had told me like he can't handle like all the small cases because he has to he's trying to go for being a judge, so he wanted to have more challenging cases. So and I was sad about that, and he stayed a public defender and a lawyer for a while until he became circuit judge. My mom was very happy about that. Um, and he has helped out our community a lot. Mr. Mike Flowers has done a wonderful job. Uh, but like I have a hard time trusting lawyers, and I know that you're one. You seem to be a very good one at that. You're very well rounded, and maybe I could talk to you about these issues. And a lot of these issues I have evidence for that I'm about to file my civil rights, I guess you could say, lawsuit for, or a complaint. I guess I'll file out a complaint first, and then maybe a lawsuit. But it's just gotten out of hand, and I have all this paperwork to do. Like I said, I have to survive, and I got dealt a very cruel hand, and I'm just trying to dig myself, not deeper in the hole, but I guess get myself out of the hole. And I plan on moving too, because like the community is. I mean, I hope it's not like this in other states. I don't. I always wondered if is it something wrong with the state or the country. God knows who, what's going on, and you know, I'm glad to see some things going on that, you know, in the country that are great, you know, but I have to go because like I am being targeted and I'm in fear of my life. If only you, like I said, if only you actually knew like the stuff that I go through, and I really wish like people could, you know, be in my shoes, and I really wish I can jump in other people's shoes to understand their reality and the things that they perceive sometimes. And I know that, you know, I can understand and I can have empathy for people, you know, but it's just like you have people that are so, their hearts are so, you know, still, like still as a corpse. And it's just like, you know, you got people out there who don't really even care about another individual. And, you know, you could only hope for the best, it seems like sometimes. And I guess, I guess it will get better for me. I mean, it's not all too bad. You know. But I'm gonna end this on a note. I would like to schedule an appointment with you, Miss Jennifer Flowers, and I'm glad that you were listening. If there's anything that I can clarify, if you have any questions, you can reach me at this email address. Um, I'm very hopeful for you. I think you have a great career ahead of you. Um, I know that you're gonna do great. I mean, looking at all this, I'm like, wow. I just wonder how she does it all. She's like Superwoman. Um, just thank you for your service and um, thank you for and tell your dad thank you too. You know, thank you so much, and you have a great day. And I'm going to end my recording on that note. Thank you.